Hello students, I'm Himani Sharma, your UGC NET Paper 1 educator. In this new YouTube video, we are moving forward with the last lap, the 30-day program that we have for you. So in the previous videos, you would have seen that how we cover most important concepts which are required for you all to crack your UGC NET or JRF for the year 2023. Correct? So we know that we have done certain PYQs and this is the approach that we are following. That through the usage of PYQs, we are jumping on to the most important concepts which are required, correct, for your last minute revision purposes. Because at times students do learn certain things but they tend to forget, right, because they have not revised. So through this program, even if you are lying on your couch or doing something else, you can watch this video to, have an idea that how much of the concept or the, things you have understood and where do you need to work on, right? So before even wasting any time, let's just see the first question that I have for you here. The first question is NEP 2020 proposes to establish which of the following new bodies. And as I told you in the previous videos as well, that now we are moving forward with the higher education part, right? So the upcoming videos are just related to higher education sphere, correct? So read the question, pause your screens there and try to answer. What do you find it here? The answer to this question is option C, that is A, B and C. These three are the correct options which are, proposed by the NEP. These three schemes, these three bodies are proposed by NEP. Before even jumping on to NEP, we also in the previous videos have done that how National Policy on Education was there, right? NPE. Correct? So in the year 1968, the first policy on education came. Correct? And then in the year 1986, another policy came, right? Now, after so many years in the year 2020, correct, in 2020 July, there was this new national education policy which came and which changed the way that how we look on certain things, right, when it comes to the higher education part. Because of the fact that higher education or education in itself hold a really, important value when it comes to teaching, when it comes to, jotting down certain things, when it comes to even knowing certain things for certain reasons, correct? So they tried to now focus more on education, and the topic or the motto for NEP 2020 was what? Quality education. Correct? So quality of education should be enhanced. This was their motive. In the NEP or NEP 1986, so how are you going to memorize? First one came in 68, the other one came in 86. So you are going to crisscross the words there, right, to learn it in a chronological sense. And this one is of course an important one, so you will memorize this one. Coming back here, in the NEP 1986, the main focus of education was on access and equity. That every person should have access to education and equitable resources should be provided to everyone, right? The fair share of resources should be provided to everyone and anyone, correct? So this is first of all the chronological sense where we talk about that how from the past times, right, after the independence, these things developed, right? Now looking at the explanation for the question that we have, right, that NEP 2020 focuses on the establishment of what new bodies, right? So NEP 2020 is the first education policy of the 21st century and replaces the national policy on education that was 1986. So 1968, 1986 and now we have NEP, right, National Education Policy, aims to ensure universal access at all levels of schooling from pre, right, to grade 12. Right? So till 12th class, the NEP 2020 focuses on the educational front. Quality early childhood care, education for all children between 3 to 6 years. So my dear students, a certain kind of recommendation for you all, that because of the fact that every year a question is asked from the NEP 2020 part, correct, and we will be bringing forward the, many concepts which are related to NEP, so that wherever you are making your notes, wherever you're jotting the facts down, you get this thing, that what is the policy all about, what were the key initiatives, were there any, schemes which were established, like we are talking about right now as well. So try to jot these things down, make pointers, because of course these are going to be beneficial for you. Correct? New curricular and pedagogical structure was 5334. So a question was asked that from what commission, right, the new education policy has taken this concept or the structure of 5334. So first of all, in the Kothari Commission, the structure was 10 plus 2. Now that 10 plus 2, that is plus 2 that we call about, that is the till the 12th grade, the classes that we have, right? They divided those classes in 4 parts, this one including the foundational stage as well. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, in the sense that we are also including the bachelor's program. So the structure basically from 10 plus 2, we moved to 5334 because of the fact that we are also inculcating the 4 thing, right? The 5. So you are supposed to, what are you supposed to do? First of all, wherever you are making notes, write down that yes, the structure has been taken up or, inspired by the Kothari Commission's 10 plus 2 structure. Correct? And then if we talk about the 5334, this is the structure, that how in the first 5 stages, right, how the education should be given, and then we have 3, right, and then 3, 4, 4. Setting up of a new National Assessment Center, PYQs. Right? So this was a question which has been asked in the question paper in the UGC NET examination, the full form of PYQs. So you can pause your screens and write down this abbreviation, and yes, do not mix up all the things, right? If you are writing down the abbreviations, just write down the heading somewhere like in your notebook, that abbreviations related to NEP 2020, right? So you can refer to those abbreviations even if you are writing this point down somewhere else. Correct? In the same notebook. So PYQs is performance assessment, review and analysis of knowledge for holistic development. So as the name suggests, it's a national assessment center. This thing is going to, the PYQs platform is going to assess students based on the knowledge and providing them with analysis and review, right, for their holistic development. That if you are provided with the feedback, if you are provided with a review, you are supposed to do better in life. Correct? So same is the case with the students who will, who will be getting assessed through this very platform named PYQs. So we are done with PYQs. Then we have, right, NEP recommends setting up an Indian Institute of Translation and Interpretation, IITI. Correct? That is National Institute or Institutions for Pali, Persian and Prakrit. So if we see here, IITI is there. We have talked about IITI, right? PYQs we have talked about. Now you are supposed to see that how National Education Policy, which came in the year 2020, right? And this lecture might be a little exhaustive for you because of the fact that we are going to cover chunks of NEP 2020, which is a really important topic. So fasten your seat belts, of course. Coming back again, that if we talk about the establishment of translation and interpretation centers, IITI, why are they there? Because the people who have, made this very or drafted this very policy, they said that yes, we are also going to include, right, the things which are related to the cultural Indian heritage. So even if in the stance of learning English, we should not be the ones who are just focusing on the Western knowledge attainment, but we should also not forget the Indian heritage and the knowledge that it brings forth for us. And it has brought forth for us, right, in the previous times as well. So if we talk about Pali, Persian, Prakrit, these were certain languages which were there during the Buddhist and the Jainist time, and Persian during the Mughal era, etc. So Sanskrit, Pali, Persian, Prakrit, these are the long forgotten languages, I must say, which are not even given that much importance. So with the advent of this very policy, the national education policy, they try to conglomerate all these things, mix up basically all these things together for the fact that they want to bring and, give importance to their own rich cultural, that is Indian rich cultural heritage, as much importance as we provide to a Western education front. Correct? In the higher education institution, that is the full form of HEIs, and using mother tongue or local language as a medium of instruction in more higher educational institutional programs. So basically, local education can be used. Setting up of state school standards authority. Now we come to the third option, which was correct. So A, B, C were correct. We talked about Parak. We talked about IITI, right? Now we are talking about SSSA. That is State School Standards Authority for transparent public self-disclosure of all the basic regulatory information as laid down by the SSA will be used extensively for public oversight and accountability. So basically, transparency is a key factor here for the government part, for the school part, right? State school part, and the people who want to get enrolled, so that they know that yes, what kind of education does that very school provide, correct? Therefore, we conclude that NEP proposes the establishment of SSSA, Parak and IITI. The next question that I have for you, you can pause your screens. Who among the following was the first chairman of UGC? So of course, you all are appearing for the UGC NET examination, right? So you all should be knowing these little key features which are important, little key facts which are there. The answer to this question is option B, that is Shri C.D. Deshmukh. First of all, we'll talk about the University Grants Commission, that when was it established, right? First formed in 1945 to oversee the work of the three central universities, Aligarh, Banaras and Delhi, correct? Its responsibility ended in 1947 to cover the all Indian university, and then if we talk about the UGC becoming a statutory body, it became a statutory body in the year 1950. So if we talk about the establishment, yes, the establishment was after passing an act in the year 1956. It is charged with coordination, determination and maintenance of standards of higher education. So whatever, as I told you, that we are supposed to be the ones who are providing quality education, UGC is also the one which is related to the universities or the colleges part, right, to coordinate, determine and maintain the standards, right, the quality education of the standards which are there. After getting statutory status, the first chairman of UGC was Sir Chintaman Dwarkanath Deshmukh, that is C.D. Deshmukh, correct? So you can jot this point of information which is there. The next question that I have for you is that the NEP 2020 proposes to prepare which of the curriculum frameworks? The answer to this question is option C, which says A, B and C, correct? So these three are the options which are proposed by the NEP 2020 to be there as the curriculum frameworks, as the syllabus, how the syllabus should be there in the schools part. So if we talk about the initiatives, as I told you, we have done in the previous slides after 1986, because of the fact that certain students might miss on certain information, that information might be repeated based on the questions which are related, right? So if you see this very thing, it is nothing new but the repetition of the previous point that we made in the NEP 2020. Devise 4 national curriculum frameworks for which a comprehensive strategy has been worked out jointly by Ministry of Education and National Council of Education, Research and Training, that is NCRT, correct? So these frameworks, why are they used? First of all, these frameworks are developed by MOE, that is Ministry of Education, and NCERT, because these pillars are there to be developed for the school curriculum part, correct? Hence NCERT's role is there. National Curriculum Framework for Early Childhood Care and Education. So that is National curriculum framework, that is NCF, for early childhood care and education. So this is the one, right? And we are going to talk about the 4 national frameworks which are there. Then we have National Curriculum Framework for School Education. So NCF, School Education, correct? Then for Teacher Education, NCF, Teacher Education, and NCF AE, Adult Education. Now if we look back to the question which was asked here, we have seen that it talks about the school education, right? The adult education, yes, teacher education, and the 4th one was early childhood care and education. So these 3, if you know these 4, you obviously are going to cross or not choose the other options as your answer, correct? Now technical and vocational education, of course, they should be the ones which should be incorporated, but that is not what NCF suggests, correct? Coming here again, the National Vocational Education Qualifications Framework. This is what is related with the vocational part. So if we talk about the vocational education which is related to the jobs and all, that type of education is what? It is related to this very framework of NVEQF. The process of development of a national vocational framework is presently underway. It has not yet been developed, but yes, this framework is in the verge to be created. It would set common principles and guidelines for a nationally recognized qualification system covering schools, vocational education institutes, so on and so forth. Correct? So this is what we had for the vocational education front. So now if I ask you again, we have 4 types of NCFs: school education, adult education, right? Then we have teacher education, and the 4th one is early childhood care and education. Correct? The next question is an assertion based reason, right? Assertion reason based question which says, the aim of education in ancient India was not just the acquisition of knowledge, but preparation for life in this world beyond schooling. Correct? Reason says that ancient Indian education laid emphasis on complete realization and liberation of self. So you can pause your videos, take your time to think upon that what would be the correct answer for this one. So the answer to this question is option C, which says that yes, both the statements are true and R is the correct explanation of A. So I have told you that how assertion based or assertion reason based questions are solved, that you are supposed to make sense that is the reason which is agreeing with the assertion which is there, or is it a completely different statement which is written. Correct? So the aim of education in ancient India was not just, the acquisition of knowledge. This is what the assertion reads as. First of all, we'll talk about the ancient education. If you would have seen the previous videos, we little bit have talked about the Vedic education part, right? So Vedic education's fundamental goal was to improve what? Physical, moral, spiritual and intellectual powers, as well as to obtain salvation. So basically, every sphere of life, they wanted the Vedic education people, the teachers, the Vedic era teachers, they wanted their students to grow in every sphere of their lives when it comes to their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, any kind of values or, their development. Hence the holistic development, the concept of holistic development is there. So assertion we have already read. The 7 main aims of education in ancient India are mentioned below. Inculcating religiousness and piety, right? So dharma, that thing should be there in yourselves, right? Formation of character, that are you doing certain things right? The personality of each was respected. So basically every student, if that student was different from the other, the personalities were respected as they were, but yes, they were supposed to improvise on what they needed to work on. Development of personality, which brings us to the next point. Emphasis on social and civic duties, right? What are your duties related to your teacher? What are you supposed to do? Guru Dakshina concept, etc. Right? Preservation and spreading cultural heritage, spreading of education in that very time, in the Vedic education part, right? Ensuring social efficiency and happiness, that yes, even if the peers are living together with their teachers as well, they are the ones who are living peacefully and happily. Correct? Hence, the assertion is correct, which said that yes, it was there not just for the acquisition of knowledge, but preparation for life in the upcoming times, hence the development of character, etc. Now, reason says ancient Indian education laid emphasis on complete realization and liberation of self. Right? So, this is also true. Much focus was placed on attention, concentration and yoga in the realm of salvation. Mukti ki prapti karna. Correct? So, if we talk about salvation, the concept was there during the Vedic times, but it was given more prominence if we talk about in the, Buddhist times, where it was known as what? Nirvana, the concept of nirvana. Here we talk about the salvation, mukti or moksha. Correct? So, if we talk about these very things, these things were there since the beginning of times when the education was just, starting or was spreading. The goal was to use these approaches, attention, concentration, etc., to elevate oneself beyond everything else, right? And yoga, why yoga was practiced? So that the 6 indris, right? 6 type of indris should be, opened up for people, right? During their academic careers, students were required to undertake religious rites, vratas, as well as offer regular prayers twice a day and other activities that aided in instilling a feeling of spirituality. Hence, the liberation of self, moving away from yourself, right, and focusing on realizing that you are an entity who needs salvation, jisko moksha chahiye. Correct? So, the reason is also correct, and if we talk about assertion and reason both, yes, they are, connecting to one another. Why? Because here we are talking about that the knowledge was not only the focus, the overall realization, the overall, development was there. And in the reason we have talked about that, yes, because of that, the ancient Indian education laid emphasis on the self, right? The self-realization which is there. Correct? And how self-realization would come? Obviously, if you know what are the things that you need to work upon, what are the things that you need to change, etc., right? The next question is statement based. Statement 1, value development requires conscious, planned and deliberate attempts by the school and the teachers, right? Statement 2 says, values needed for sustainable development cannot be taught in a school setting. So, what do you think is the right answer here, my dear students? The answer to this question is option C, which says that statement 1 is correct and statement 2 is incorrect. Right? How? First of all, let's just look at statement 1, which said that yes, value development requires conscious, planned and deliberate attempts by the school and the teachers. What is value development first of all? Acha bura karna, right? What are the values that we inculcate? Those values, if we talk about, those values are the ones which we gain through our community, right, at our places, at our homes, but those values should also be the ones which should be taught in schools. Hence, the concept of value education is also there. In NEP as well, if we talk about, value education has also been talked about in the educational sector. Environmental education for improving the awareness, right? All these things, and vocational, technical education, all of these things are being, gaining the prominence which was ignored at the previous times. Teachers should have a healthy perspective and should possess made values, right? So, what are there which is, right or wrong, which is there, which you need to make a differentiation between, correct? The 4 pillars of education, specifically learning to live together and learning to be, are related to positive psychology and worth, that how worthy are you. So, you need to have that value, the sense of value, and here we are not talking about the value of a coin or something like that. Values, the principles that you hold, siddhant jo hote hain, correct? So, it's essential to integrate valuable attitudes, ethical values and social skills into the teaching and learning method in school, and to make it a part of the total syllabus, so that when students leave, they know, or even if they don't, of course, if they stay in the school and they are, acquiring knowledge through educational sphere, they know that yes, this is how I'm supposed to treat my peers, my friends, my classmates, and I'm not supposed to cross a line. Correct? Hence, statement 1 is correct that yes, value education should be taught in schools and by the teachers. Now, statement 2 says that values needed for sustainable development cannot be taught in a school setting. Why? I just gave you the example, my dear students, of environmental education as a concept, right? So UGC even has inculcated this subject, right, in the bachelor's degree where environmental education is important, right? So how can we say that we should not know about our environment? Hence, this statement is incorrect. Education for sustainable development is also needed by everyone, especially the youth, because they are the upcoming generation and the future of this very nation, as they say. The two main recommendations of National Seminar on Environmental Higher Education held at New Delhi from July 30 to 31 in 1981. The environment is indivisible, which means it cannot be divided. Correct? It has no geographical or ideological frontiers, and further, it is common to all living organisms, be it man, animals and plants. So, if I talk to you about a jungle, right? If I also go there and you also visit, there is no superiority or inferiority between a person who is a teacher and a student who is there. The nature will provide me with the same fruits which it is providing you. Hence, it cannot be divided properly, right, based on the geographical locations, etc. And this, division has just been made according to the man's mindset which is there, right? So, they say that environment cannot be divided. We cannot divide Mother Earth, correct? There is no purely scientific technological solution to environmental problems and pollution, but yes, certain steps can be taken, right? A human or moral dimension is an essential component to all such solutions. So if we talk about that, yes, we should not cut trees. हमें पेड़ नहीं काटने चाहिए. Why are we saying that? We are saying that because we feel the need, we know that we are getting certain things from those very things. That is the selfish benefit which is there. But if we talk about that, yes, those are also certain things which need to be there in the environmental part, that of course a moral or an ethical, principle or an ethical value comes into being. Correct? It was also recommended that the environmental education should lead to the development of ecological ethics. That is a change in the attitude towards man, society and nature. So, of course, students should be taught environmental education as well. If we talk about values needed for sustainable development, that if you need certain values which are required for the environmental part, that cannot be taught in a school setting is wrong, because the teachers can tell you that you should not cut trees, you should not blow horns when you are near a school, right, because of the noise pollution, etc. So all those things, how are we going to learn them if nobody is going to teach that in our homes as well? We are going to learn it through our schools as well. So why not in a school setting? It should be done, and it can be done in a school setting. The next question is match list 1 with list 2. So these are certain, prominent people which have been there, which have developed medicines, surgery, concepts, etc. So you're supposed to match list with list 2. The answer to this question is option C. That is A2, B3, C4 and D1. So if we talk about this very explanation that I have for you, Charak Samhita, you all must have somewhere or the other, you must have come across this very name, right? Acharya Charak was born in the year 300 BC. He was a major contributor to the ancient art and science of Ayurveda. The Ayurveda that we use in today's time. Who was the one who developed this very concept of Ayurveda, the medicine, right? It was developed by Charak, correct? Acharya Charak has been crowned as the father of medicine if we talk about the Indian philosophical part, correct? The Charak Samhita, his most famous book, is regarded as an encyclopedia of Ayurveda, right? So if we talk about anything which is related to Ayurveda, we can find that very medicinal properties of a particular plant. We can find those things where? In Charak Samhita. Now we talk about Sushrut. He was an ancient Indian physician and world's first surgeon. Surgery concept, we think it is really pretty new, but it is not. It has been there from the ancient times, even during the Vedic era, right? So he was the first surgeon. If we talk about, again I'm telling you, these things I'm talking about in the Indian context, correct? He is regarded as the father of surgery. The Sushrut Samhita, Samhita means collection, right, is one of the world's earliest texts on plastic surgery. So we think that plastic surgery aajkal ka naya concept hai, it's not there, but it has been there during the times of the Vedic era, correct? Then we have Vara Mihir, astrologer, astronomer and polymath who lived in Ujjain in the ancient India. He wrote the Panch Siddhantika. Panch, that is 5, right? Panch Siddhantika, a compilation of Greek, Egyptian, Roman and Indian astronomy. Hence, we matched him with what? We matched him with the astronomy part. So, he was an astrologer and astronomer as well. Next, we have Kannad, ancient Indian natural scientist and philosopher. Correct? He established the Vaishishka school of Indian philosophy. So, any students, of course, if you are reading paper 1, right, you have certain notes prepared of your own about the Indian ethics as well. Indian, ethics, if we talk about Indian logic. So, there we have different schools. Nyaya school of philosophy, Vaishishka. So, Vaishishka school, if we talk about, is the one which was established by Kannad, right, which also is considered to be the birthplace of Indian physics. So, that's why he was a physicist, right? Correct? Next question that we have is, which among the following are objectives of higher education? So, think a little logical here in this very question. The answer to this question is option D, which says B and D only. B and D only, to promote the economic growth, to promote the critical thinking which is there, right, and not, it is not the primary objective to educate every citizen, because of course we even are thinking in the national education policy by the year 2030 the gross enrollment ratio should be 100%, but every student is not going to get access. We are trying to do that. We have not done or achieved that very thing. Correct? So that's why it's not the correct option. To improve the image of the country, that is a secondary part again. To compete with the neighboring country, that's not the aim of higher education. Its focus is rather to promote the economic growth of the country by, the research and development programs, projects which are there, and to promote or inculcate the habit of critical thinking. Let's just see here what are the objectives. To seek and cultivate new information. When it comes to even the school education part, the college or the university education part, the students should always be curious, so do the teachers as well. To engage in the spirit of truth with vigor and fearlessness. Correct? To promote economic growth, we have talked about. To interpret previous knowledge and beliefs in light of new demands and discoveries. So anything which has been previously said. So, for instance, even if we can talk about the national education policy. So, national education policy of 1986, which was talking about access and equity, if it does not provide quality education, of course, the things won't be clear to the people. People would not be getting the quality education, good education, right? But they will be getting access to education anywhere. Correct? So, improvisation from the previous things, access and equity, has been moved to a new sphere. That is, if we talk about according to the new demands, that yes, the new demands talk about the quality education. To provide appropriate leadership in all aspects of life, because one way or the other, we need someone to guide us when we are in the educational sphere, right? So our teachers are our guides, our supervisors, if we talk about the PhD part, they are our guides, right? This YouTube platform is your guide, for instance, right? To discover gifted youth and assist them in realizing their full potential, because there are certain students who do not have access to education, but they are really, the ones who are gifted, in the sense that they are the ones who have certain kind of capabilities that the other students do not have. Correct? So by appreciating and giving them the chance right? Assisting them that yes, they can do better in future because they possess those qualities. To promote critical thinking that we talked about, to promote spiritual concerns that the humanity faces by being empathetic as well, to promote cultural and moral values, hence the concept of value education. Thus, if we talk about promoting economic growth and critical thinking, these were the main objectives of higher education if we talk about, correct? Then again a question which was a recent question which has been asked in the year 2021, right? List 1 with list 2 you are supposed to match. The answer to this question is option C, A 3, B 4, C 2 and D 1. Correct? Let's just look at the explanation that we have here. The UGC came into existence in 1953 but became a statutory organizational body by the Act of Parliament in 1956. So this is what you are supposed to memorize mostly, right? All India Council for Technical Education. So this is University Grants Commission, of course, is talking about the general educational front, because it is going to provide education which is related to each and every course which is there, right, from bachelor's to master's and PhD. Correct? Now if we talk about AICTE, that is All India Council for Technical Education, hence we have matched it with what? The technical education part. So, set up in November 1945 as a national level apex advisory body to conduct a survey on the facilities available for technical education and to promote development in the country in coordinated and integrated manner. So, basically, if we talk about any kind of technical education, if you even learn the abbreviation, you will know that AICTE provides education which is related to the technical part. Then we have National Council for Teacher Education. That's why we matched NCTE with teacher education. And you see that how clever are the examiners, that they have obviously provided us with the short forms, so that a student who knows the full forms only will be able to tell that what kind of education is there. Hence, National Council on Teacher Education. We have matched that with teacher education part. Statutory body set up under the National Council for Teacher Education Act 1993 in 1995. So, in 1995 it was established under this very act, correct, to formally oversee standards, procedures and processes in the Indian education system which are related to what? Teacher education. Correct? That if the teachers are also lacking in certain kind of resources, learning aids, etc., right, those should be provided to them. The Medical Council of India, MCI, right, statutory body for establishing uniform and high standards for medical education. So we have matched MCI, Medical Council of India, with medicine, correct, which was established by the resolution on 25th September 2020 when it was replaced by the National Medical Commission. So, National Medical Commission replaced MCI, right? The council granted recognition of medical qualifications, gave accreditation to medical schools, granted registration to medical practitioners. So, basically anything and everything which was related to the medical sphere, what we were talking about if we talk about the MCI, that is Medical Council of India. The last question for today that we have is, who is the visitor of all the central universities? The answer to this question is option C, that is the President of India. Correct? So, the President of India, wherever you are making notes, jot down that he is the visitor of all the central universities per se. As of, yes, this is a really important point for you all to note down, because in the question paper, they can ask that how many central universities do we have. So, according to the recent data, which was based on 25th November 2022, there are 54 central universities, total 54 central universities, right, which are established by the Central Act. That's why they are known as the central universities. The President of India is the visitor of Central University and has the power to appoint the VC, that is the Vice Chancellor. So, in the hands of the President of India, he has the power to appoint the VC or the Vice Chancellor of any central university. He can nominate some members of the executive committee, board of management, courts, selection committees of the universities in terms of the various statutes and provisions which are laid down in the University Act. So basically, whatever University Act is passed, the president has the authority to make certain changes and to nominate some members for these very selection committees. Correct? The Ministry of Education helps the President to appoint Vice Chancellors, court nominees, selection committee nominees, as we talked about. The President has the power to nominate certain members. Hence, the President of India is a visitor of all the central universities. In the upcoming videos, we'll also be talking about a little bit, because in today's time, they do not usually ask more from the polity and governance part. So, we will stick to certain important concepts which are required, because we are doing the revision, right? So in the upcoming videos, I'll be bringing forth for you the powers of the president, if there are any questions related to that, right? The central universities, the state universities, etc. Till then, what you are supposed to do is, you are supposed to revise certain things on your own. If you are making notes, you can, mug up things, of course, on the piece of paper, but you need to keep on revisiting those things for your benefit, right? Till then, I will see you again, and in the new video, you will see certain new concepts which are related to the higher education field. We will be meeting again. Thank you so much. Have a good day.